Hey y'all, this is Latell, and you're listening to Tell It Like It Is. And today's joining me is Philip, my co-host.
Thanks for
Philip.
having me back. It's nice to be back.
Always great to have you. We know we always have a great show, no matter what. And today I'm extra excited.
Oh, me too.
Because we've got a very special guest, which is our favorite drag queen performer. And I'm going to introduce my guest. It's Ladon.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Hey.
It's so good to have you here.
So
Thank you guys for having me.
awesome.
To have this wonderful conversation.
You know, we love seeing you perform. Like, your performances, blow our mind.
Thank you.
Like, you steal the show every time. No matter how many people you work with, you're always the person that steals the show. Every single time. Your hosting skills, your performance, all of it's great. We
And
love
just
you.
your presence. Everything.
Yeah, we love you.
I just do the best that I can to put on the best show that we all deserve to have.
And I agree with that, because we go to those shows so we
Yes.
can see a good performance,
Yeah.
not to just see average
Yeah,
stuff.
average stuff,
Yeah.
you know.
We
You're not
like-
gonna get average
Yeah, we
stuff.
don't want average. We
You
always
want-
get above
You want
average.
to feel something. When
There you go. Like, I want to be like, yeah, that's why I get that couple dollars. That's why I get that $10. You know what I mean? Like,
You almost want to forget that you did it when you do it, because you know when you go to the strip club, you like the girl's clapping her butt in front of your face. You're like, oh wow! You're just like, oh my god, I'm mesmerized right now. Like you just get taken into another fantasy.
into another fantasy, just a whole nother world.
That's what we want to do for you.
You know,
And
you
you do
have
it.
such a following too, and I can see it in the audiences too, but why don't you take us back? How did this start?
Take you back. So how did drag start? Had I started doing drag?
Yes.
How did I get to here?
Yes.
I got to, I find myself to be now, previously I wouldn't have said it, but everything that I'm doing is in gay culture. And I've always been in gay culture since I started in ballroom. And ballroom has drag identity in it, you know? So then I wanted to do drag. I wanted to do it. I had dipped into it for Halloween when I was in college. And I was even in ballroom at the time, but I started ballroom when I was 16. I was still in high school. My mom didn't mind me going to balls in the middle of the night. That was the crazy part about it.
Wow.
And I remember being at the pier in Long Beach and still in the 11th grade learning how to Vogue.
Wow.
This is something I was doing. I don't think a lot of people would be able to say that in LA. And a lot of people don't know that familiar with LA. You might think of that from New York or over there. But in LA at the time, back then, we were really big on we would do stuff like that.
Oh.
So that's kind of how I started. I started hanging out with people that weren't in high school, and I was still in high school. That was my first embark on finding out who I was. I took it as a journey of identifying myself through the gay identity or the gay culture, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I started learning how to Vogue, and then literally through ballroom, I met Calypso, which I met the House of Blahnik. And when I met the House of Blahnik, I was in college at the time. And I had stopped doing ballroom for 2 years, and then I came back, and I was participating. And then Jamari, he contacted me and he asked me, he was like, I want you in my house now. I cannot wait. I want you now. I still have the inboxes when he messaged me.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm not really interested in that's how I am.
Uh-huh.
I'm not into anybody else. So if you want to do it, let's do it.
That's right.
And he was like, okay, I'm going to just do it right now. Forget doing the whole pledging and everything. I'm just going to put you in. Okay. And I was like, okay, but I already had experience outside of his other members who were learning. He was teaching.
Yeah.
So I met Calypso in the process from House of Blahnik.
Okay.
That was the house we started that I met them in.
Got it. Okay.
When I met Calypso was doing drag very heavily. That was her first pick. Ballroom was mine.
Okay.
So when she was doing drag. But I never took it anywhere, thought of it, anything like that. I didn't know what requirements or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And over the course of years, she obviously had kids, and Kyra Jate came along. Mm-hmm. And when Kyra Jate came along, Kyra was doing a competition called Dragged Out.
Okay.
Which I probably could have just started the story right here.
Was that the show Was that on TV?
It's Dragged Out is a competition that's done in West Hollywood. It's a local competition.
Okay.
Like a lot of local queens go to.
Gotcha.
They do it now at Rocco's, but they started at Revolver, which is like a little corner bar. Which
I remember that place.
we love us a good Revolver moment, though, don't we? Like, it's always going downstairs that does it best. Like going into the dungeon. Yeah. And they make it so perfectly for you to get tucked away and lost up in there, especially in like the dungeons and stuff. Well, I call it the dungeons, but it's actually the restroom. And I don't know what place has a whole floor dedicated to just restrooms. I don't think they've thought about it that way. But
Definitely
interesting.
that's like heaven for us. And they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Like a bathroom.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and as you're walking downstairs, like urine. Okay, now we're not going to talk about it. I'm so sorry, Lucille.
One can say
It's
that
an
you're in
open
different
free
worlds.
space. Open free space.
Anyway.
Right?
We're telling it like it is. There you go. That's it. Anything and everything goes on this show.
But it was called Dragged Out, hosted by Billy Francesca and Bo Byron, who now is the producer and creator of Rocco's Rockettes.
Oh.
And Kyra did the first season. She asked me to come in to be a backup dancer for her because in school and in college I was going to school to study to be a dancer. Okay. And that's where like I got my core understanding from of dancing. So, you know, I was a dancer and a voguer, so it was easy to throw choreography at me. So she asked me to come and was like, hey, could you do this for me? And like, you know, I'll pay you. I said, okay, cool. I literally was in between jobs. I was working for Emirates Lounge and I was doing VIP lounging. So like I would do like getting like the dishes and like putting out the food and like all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But they fired
tips?
me. No, I didn't get tips. They didn't allow us to get tips at the airport.
But a good airline, though.
Wow.
But a really amazing airline.
Yes.
Really. But working for the airport is so horrible. I mean, like, I love airlines. I love airports. I love the
working
chic
for
in
them,
it. But working for them is horrible.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Because a lot of airlines are very cheap. They don't contract, like, the people who actually work for them.
Oh.
So, like, I worked in the Emirates Lounge, but I was contracted by someone else.
Okay.
And because I was contracted by someone else, they have to hold that contract up. And so we have to just do whatever it takes to hold that contract. It's not like we're a part of the family with Emirates. Oh. And so I still feel bad for people that still work there now.
Wow.
Because they're not being treated like family.
Right,
They're just
right.
like, and some of them they were working there for years before I worked there. And they're like, they were happy that they worked for Emirates, but they weren't working for Emirates.
Yes.
They were working
for the third party.
Them.
Yeah.
But it was like the experience. Like, I mean, I met Law Roach. I met like some really great people working there.
That's
I met
fancy.
Rob Kardashian. I have a picture with him.
Oh,
like
okay.
that was when I was working at Air Canada, and that's how I got the Emirates job because I was working at Air Canada's VIP lounge, but they call it Maple Leaf. But that's a whole other conversation we could talk about.
Yes, that's a good one.
I got fired because I called off. I was trying to get a day off to go to a ball that was at a museum in downtown LA, and unfortunately, they didn't confirm my date. But I was like, I don't care because I want to go to this, and I was asked and I was invited. So I'm going to do it as at a museum, and I went and did it. And for a week, my badge wouldn't work. And then one day, the manager that actually fired me didn't tell me he fired me. He let someone else that I actually liked fire me that was actually supervisor. And so because of that, when Kyra called me, she called me like a week and a half later after this situation happened. And I was like, okay, cool. I was in between living. I was living with my mom. Okay. And I literally just went to Kyra's house. Oh. And she stayed with, they Jatays stayed together.
Okay.
So Cornbread, Calypso, Kyra. And I never left. I stayed at their house, and I never left their house from them.
Wow.
I stayed. And they just asked me to come over and rehearse. And I stayed, I just stayed.
Oh.
So we went, and we, that was kind of how I started. I practiced with her. After I practiced with her, I would go with her to Dragged Out every night because she needed the support. So that she had tickets in her box. And, it turned out to be where one night I was just looking at her perform, and she had told me one time previous, she was like, I just need to get a gig in West Hollywood. Isn't this crazy? Like, she was competing to, get a spot in West Hollywood at the time.
Because that's, the big
and,
thing.
I hadn't even done drag at all. Not at all. I hadn't picked up any makeup at all. And Kyra was, guns a-blazing, no one sees me. I'm going to get out here and do it. I mean, she was doing a lot of competitions already. Okay. And, this is me on the patio of Revolver, watching her on the stage in the top 4.
Wow.
Just, and Dragged Out. And it's, a house full of people. And I'm looking at them what you want to do is coming to fruition.
Okay.
I've lived with you for over the summer, and I've watched you wake up every single day and do this. I've watched you wake up every single day and do this. Like, you go to a different gig, you go to a different spot, a different club, a different city. Like, this is what you do. And it was literally a moment where, like, a flame got lit in my head, and I felt like, I could do this too.
Yes.
I've always wanted to be a performer.
Yes.
I want to be a dancer. I could be able to convey my story with that stage.
Wow.
And it was just a conviction. She was doing something in that night. Like, she really wanted it so bad. And like, I knew she really wanted it, but she didn't want to win. She wanted the respect of the people in the community to be able to let her know, like, this is what she wanted to do. Without your acceptance,
Right.
she can't work. Like, she can't work if you guys don't show her any acceptance.
Yes.
So she has to do, and she did whatever she could. Like, and she made it as a black queen in West Hollywood.
Yes.
And that was the first
she
season.
is bomb too.
Oh, like, so incredible.
Oh my gosh, that show! I was like magnetic.
Yeah.
You couldn't even take your eyes off of her. Like, it was just so, like, the moves that she made.
Yeah.
I was like we were with a friend of ours, and every time she would like jump off the stage and do a split,
Oh yeah.
he would like, oh, like he would think something happened.
She's
like
intoxicating.
It was like, it's like she's not hurt. This is the part of it.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
This is the part of it, right? It's like, is she gonna jump from there?
Yeah.
Like, it was something in that moment that night that I was just like, literally, it was one night. I recall it.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what she's sending a message to people.
Yeah.
On this stage.
Look at that. Look at that.
And I just want to be able to allow people to hear my message through what I like to do and where I've come from and how long I've been doing it. And this is the start. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
I promise to God, maybe it was a message from God.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a little angel on my shoulder.
Right.
Or maybe it was a divine
intervention.
Yeah.
It really was. It really was.
Just like, okay, you figured it out. Like, this is it.
I love it.
Now that you got a spark. And when I tell you, Cornbread will tell you, Calypso will tell you, Danny that was living with us could tell you, Kyra will tell you, I was down and out. Like, I was just like at their house.
It gets like
sleeping
that.
on like the floor, playing Roller Coaster Tycoon on my iPad. Every day, just like servicing to whatever the Jatays needed me to do. Like, I would be drinking for Locos and going to like the Abbey as a boy, and just like I didn't really have a sense of direction. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know where I was going to go. What was going to happen next? I was just like here. And the only thing that I would hear in the back of my head, and I still hear it now, is Cornbread telling me, like, she would say while I was there, because she had just started dragging, she would say, so girl, what you gonna do? You gonna get a job? Or you gonna start working these gigs? Because you can't be sitting up around here not making no money because everybody else is doing something.
Right.
And we're paying our rents in this house by what we're doing. We don't have a 9 to 5.
Oh.
We're looking for our work.
Yes.
So you're not looking for work. So we have to figure out what we're doing with you. You're gonna either leave or you're gonna figure out you get a job or you're gonna you have to figure. And I remind it, that's something that even when I get down and out now, I'm like, what do you do? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to give up? Are you going to keep going? Are you going to stop? Are you going to... And that's where I started.
That was like the kick you needed, basically.
That was the kick I needed.
Wow.
And that's where I started at.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
So your first performance.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about? What did you think about? I mean,
were you nervous? Did you have to drink?
For my first performance, I didn't have any heels. It was a competition with Pickle. Remember, I mean, I don't mean to say that, but Pickle, the drag queen, she was hosting at the Abbey at the time, and she asked me one time. She asked me, she said, "Oh, do you do drag?" And I go, "Oh no, I just come here with the Jatays all the time. They ask me to come, and I just help them hold their baggages and stuff." And she goes, "Oh, if you ever want to do drag, just let me know. I have a competition for like newbies." And I go, okay, cool. Which I already knew because that was the same competition Cornbread did for her first competition like a month before that conversation. So when I did it, I was like, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to like just win. I'm going to do so great. I needed the money because it was only $100 to win. But I really needed the money. Like I didn't really have any money. Like, I really needed the money.
Yeah.
So from my ballroom perspective, you knock everybody out. You'll win the prize. Like, just go in there.
Right.
I walked in there. Calypso painted my face. No, Kyra painted my face. And I had an outfit that Kyra gave me that I still have now that people gag over.
Wow.
Like, I just got it, but I still have it now. I will never get rid of it, and I will always wear it as long as I can fit into it. And I just did not have my heels, which I always had heels to Vogue in, because I would Vogue as a boy in heels when I would Vogue in the ballroom.
Oh, okay.
and I just didn't have heels. And literally, Cornbread got on the cast to perform that night and rushed over, like came over with the heels because I had got there before she did.
Oh, okay.
But she was at a different gig down the street, and she just so happened to simultaneously like just pull up with the heels, pull up and like performed, and I was able to like perform. And it was really great. I mean, I had a great time. I mean, I feel like my first performance says nothing about my performances as like time has went on. Because my first performance wasn't the worst performance.
Okay.
You know, as I got to learn and like, it's always like when you think you're doing something right because you're trying to do something right. You're trying to do what is right, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And you're like, but I didn't do it right. They didn't receive it the way
you wanted
the people that your peers didn't see it that way. So you're like, I didn't do it, you know? And that's when I started to realize, like, that's when I would start having, like, bad moments.
Oh,
that's when I started experiencing that. My first performance was, like, it was good.
Do you remember the song?
The song, yeah, it was Work That Pussy. Work This Pussy. By, if I could say that, by Tiana Taylor. I did it from beginning to end with tights and everything, no pads, and no heels, and I won.
Wow!
Yeah, it was Andy Santiago, who's the producer over at the Abbey, and several different locations in Southern California, and his name is Anyway. Yeah.
Wow.
Eric Restivo. He was the producer for the Queens over at Flaming Saddles at the time. And they voted for me, and I won. And I was like, at the time, like, you know, if you have the Abbey and Flaming Saddles, you're like, oh, girl, I'm like doing things right. That's why I say the first performance is not the one that's you know, it's always like, oh, she's new because everyone else probably been doing it for a while.
Yeah. Wow, that is an interesting story.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love the fact that you had that spark that set everything in motion.
Mm-hmm.
That one inspiration from your friend that set everything in motion. And it wasn't even a nice way to come at you either.
Yeah.
It was kind of rude if you ask me. It was like, come on, get your stuff together here.
Well, you got to.
But you know what I mean? But that was all it took to get you going. Like, I wonder if she had said it any nicer, if you would have got that motivated.
Coming from Cornbread, I don't think anything's gonna be nice from her.
Okay.
Not like that, but like she is a very passionate individual, and I mean, I don't not to sit here and we were just talking about this off recording, the selfish thing, but it's just that, you know, you really can't tell a lot about yourself unless you tell where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes a lot of people have a lot of doing in what you're doing, and it's just really hard to fake it, like to lie about it.
Right.
But like, you know, she was one of the people for sure, and she was just starting herself. So a lot of her energy was like that virgin energy when you see somebody else that could be doing it too.
Yes,
and like, I'm just doing it too, and look what it did to me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? If you just jump on board, you can get it too. Like I got like, that's why I feel like I'm so golden to not like that. Like, you know, I just feel like give yourself props.
Toot your own horn. We want that.
If she didn't say it if she said it at all, no matter which way she said it was the fact that she said it.
Okay.
And I think that was the key. It was the saying and the wording. It needed to be said.
Okay.
In order for it to be done.
Right.
Because I didn't know. Like I said, I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I didn't think that was something I was accepted to doing, because I come from a place in ballroom where it's like, at that time, I had been walking in ballroom for maybe like 6 years.
Okay.
So I had a respect in ballroom. Like, you know, I didn't need to do anything in another community. That's how I would see it at the time.
Yeah.
To be able to find acceptance or exposure or the things that I want. It wasn't until I was watching Cairo that night.
Wow.
And I realized, I was like, you know, wait, I'm a performer too.
Right?
Wait, oh my God, I want to do all these different things also. I want to do Beyonce and do Ciara and do Lil
Wow,
Wayne. Wait, I could convey that. Oh my gosh, this whole time I could have been a creative.
And it just triggered.
Like, you know, it connected that all this raw talent, or what someone else will see as raw, is like, can be orchestrated to be something that so many people can find to be so fine-tuned. Like, you know? Like, I really needed an instrument, and that's what it was. Drag is the instrument that kind of like, I didn't have an instrument. Like, I was a talentful person with like no instrument.
I got you. Oh, that's a good way to put it.
You know, you said something very interesting when you mentioned about selfish, right? I think when people hear selfish, and we were talking about this earlier, right? It has a negative connotation.
It does.
But
yeah.
pointed out though, selfish is different from being self-centered, and sometimes we do
Very
need to
true.
be selfish
Yes, yes,
with ourselves.
yes.
A little self-care. It's the same way that I feel about people that are confident, like you. And there's a difference between people that are confident and people that are conceited. And
That's true. Yeah.
Right, that are full of
Conceited.
Very
themselves.
true.
Yes.
Yes, very true.
Go back to the selfish part.
Yeah.
How are you doing more of that for yourself now? Because you said you feel that more now. You're in that phase now, as opposed to being selfless. Right?
Yeah, I'm in more of a selfish stage of my life.
Okay.
It was something that was quoted recently that made me come full circle with the situation.
Yeah.
Latell and Ladon. I was watching her on Roscoe's viewing party. She made a statement where she said, people call her delusional, which when I first saw Lux on Drag Race, I said, this bitch is delusional.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't know if I can say that, but
Yeah, you can.
I was like, this bitch is delusional. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she really thinks she's like really that good. And then as they started to expose more of what they weren't really showing with the time restraints, I started to realize, like, damn, every time I see her at the runway, she's really fucking good. Like, I can't deny that.
Okay.
And then she made this statement at Roscoe's where she says, before I got to where I'm at now, I will always give other people props, and I will always not put myself up. I will always wait for others to say you're good, or you're great, and and for me, I've always thought that in my mind, and I always didn't just tell myself how to rewire myself to not think. I would always just say girl, you're doing right, because that's why they're saying what they're saying. I would never think, why don't you just tell yourself that you're fucking great, that you're fucking over, that you're phenomenal?
Yes.
I will always think, well, you don't want to take anybody else's shine. Like, you always want to always be like, if we're talented, we're artists.
Because it sounds kind of selfish. If you look at it that way.
You don't want to look at it that way.
Self-centered.
It's like we're a community. We're artists. We are artists. I am not the artist. We are artists.
Yeah.
You could do something today that I'd be like, you know what? You did something yesterday, and I use that as a nail to put everything else on the wall. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so I don't want to take anything away from you, because if you see that nail on that wall, I don't want you to be mad at that I appreciated you for what you did come across for.
Yeah.
So but what she said was, she was like, you have to be delusional about yourself. And if I'm delusional for me, then that's a good thing, because what you're saying is something that makes me not want to think about me. And it makes me want to take myself away from who I am and how great I know that I actually could be.
Right.
So I reside on your results. I reside on your solutions to be able to tell me that I look great or I feel great.
Right.
So now I am in a very selfish place.
I like that.
Because I feel I've always created, what I have for myself. A lot of people have platforms to where they could have easily just brought me on and said, hey, this is what we have going. Oh yeah, boom, like we could just do this. Like we can make this work with who you are, and I know that you have it. Boom, I can make you. They could have done that, but they didn't, because of being inferior. You're gonna take my spot, you're gonna be over me, or you know what I'm saying. In my opinion, I'm like, I don't feel that way about other people, I try not to be that way about other people. However, I see other people are willing to be that way about me. And I always think about life as a life with no parents. And thank God I have both my parents on this earth, whether I talk to my dad or not. I have both my parents on this earth, but it's like a parent, being in this world with no parents.
Yeah.
How do you take care of yourself? How do you protect yourself? How do you armor yourself? Like, you know what I'm saying? You have to think about that kind of stuff. You can give and give and give and give and give to somebody as much as you can. But if you don't get anything back, then you really aren't doing anything for yourself. Because if I pour this cup out, then if
you've
I pour this bottle out, there's nothing in this bottle anymore. How do we refill this bottle?
That's exactly right.
I have to, and if I'm giving you so
full.
much of that, what am I giving myself in return?
That's right.
And if you're telling me every time I give myself something, if I tell myself, wow, I look great, if I say that in the mirror, and you say, wow, you're so vain, but I heard no one else say that.
That's right.
I walked out of this place,
and
I heard no one tell me I look great when I put all this stuff on, hoping that when I walked in this room, someone will turn a face, someone will turn a look, someone will say, oh my gosh, girl, those shoes.
To fill you back up.
Yeah,
that
but you didn't.
Yes, right.
But what you did when you walked in that room is you didn't even think about that. What you thought about was, oh my gosh, sis, your outfit looks great. Oh my God, Latell, you look da 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 da.
Yeah.
And you didn't think about, well, wait,
Yeah.
What part do I? I play a position up in here too. People will allow you to run yourself completely dry.
Yes.
Even if they know you are golden and you are diamonds in the rough,
That's
they will
right.
let you run yourself completely dry
I
because they
agree.
know you will not realize until the last diamond. By the time you're on the last diamond,
That's it.
you need them because they took everything away from you.
Everything. And if you're
now
not self-aware, you will let it happen
You will
because
let it
you're
happen.
unaware that it's happening. It's like I always say, the takers will take.
They will take.
The givers have to stop giving. So at some point when you're depleting yourself, giving out compliments and positive energy and all that, be careful how much you keep giving because then if it's not coming
back. And I try
back.
to tell people what I say for the positivity that I give for myself. The positivity that I spew out, like for example, when we're at Rocco's and I give we do a toast. And I always tell people, like, this toast is to positivity. This toast is about your past, your present, and future. When I say this, it's like, some people be like, oh, well, tomorrow you were just so selfish about something. It's like, girl, when I said that, I meant that for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I meant that for you. And you were supposed to take that and hope that you got some type of self-confidence with it and run off with it. That doesn't mean that I feel less about you. It just means I won't feel less about me to feel for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to understand the balance in between the two. And at one point in time, I felt like there were people that I thought I knew that were taking from me more than they were giving to me. And that's not a really good situation or place to be in any circumstances.
But then when you realize that it's happening before it's too late, that's the important thing. If you don't realize it and you keep giving, at least you came to a point where you realized it, right?
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I noticed about your performances, and I'm sure Latell feels the same way too, I can see that you put a lot of thought into what you're doing, creative process. And I tell people too that I think, drag performing is just like performing in general. Performance, art. And we all have to keep ourselves relevant. We all have to do things to, keep ourselves pretty much up in our craft. What do you do for your creative process when you're thinking of something?
It depends. It really depends on like what I'm connecting to. When I first I really try to be genuine and honest with like what I'm putting out because I believe that if I'm not feeling it or if I'm not understanding it or if I don't know what I'm trying to like get across, I'm not gonna feel it. Like it's gonna just be like another regular weird performance. I don't like to perform that way. So like I like to think about like for example, I do a number with some parts with she's a poet. Maya Angelou. I have a number with Maya. I have some parts with Maya Angelou, and the pieces in the production are very like soft and smooth and sultry. One, I chose that number because I chose that production because I wanted to try to tap into a more sensual, sultry side of myself, so I could be able to sell like what I paint on. But also, I was going through a breakup. Well, not a breakup, but I was going through a relationship.
Heartbreak?
Yeah. And the guy that I was dealing with, it wasn't that I was hurt behind him. I was more so hurt behind the fact of how him and like other guys had made me feel like selfless. Like I felt like I wasn't beautiful or like in the process, like they would make me feel like I wasn't worth or like as if like I was doing something wrong. And like these would be people that I probably would really want to be with, if that makes sense. And I tried to tie into certain things that allowed me to connect to that emotion with how I felt about those guys in there. So basically what I took was I used my emotions as the thread and then I used the songs as the needle and I just sewed a costume out of my emotions. And I put it there. So whenever I feel it, I pull that number out and I connect to it. So when I think of those, like when I think of numbers, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about like what that memory in that time was like with that guy that I was dating. Or like for example, this weekend I did a number with like there was a moment in the poem where he goes, he doesn't know where he doesn't.
I forgot what Kyra was doing. He was like, is she okay?
Whoa, is she alright?
Not a shit. Oh, it just opened right back up. Oh my gosh.
Oh shit, I'm gonna have to edit that.
Is this the recording?
I think so. No, I don't think so. It couldn't. Oh wait. Okay, and we're back.
We're back.
Yes,
okay,
we are.
So yeah, my creative process is pretty much like that. Like I like to take whatever songs I'm doing. Like,
Oh, you sing too?
no, not singing.
Oh, just the dancing part. Okay.
I mean, y'all saw me try to sing this weekend. Like I like to play, but not really. But I normally just like to take messages and what I'm trying to convey out. Like I said, my boyfriend at the time, one time, my ex-boyfriend, or I don't even want to call him a boyfriend. It's like a lot of privilege to give him. Mm-hmm. But, you know, he was a guy I was discussing, and something, you know, I made a mix in reference to that. And there was another guy, and then there was a time in life that I was just going through, just completely like, you know, because you know, freelancing, it's not always that easy.
Yeah.
And it's very hard. And if you, another thing that Cornbread said, one of the biggest things she said was she asked me when I said I didn't want to do that. She said, okay, so you're going to do this. Do you want to, are you sure? Are you serious about this? Because it's going to be some times where 1 week you're going to be booked. You're going to have bookings all week. You're going to be good. You're going to make a lot of money. And the next week it's not going to be the same. And what you gonna think? You know, you can't get down on yourself and think that, you know, things ain't going great for you. You gotta know, because the next week after that, you could be booked.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you never know how things work. So is this what you really want to do? Because sometimes you're gonna feel let down.
Yeah.
And if you don't make it, you know, what you gonna do? You know, and I said, you know, I'm serious about this. I'm willing to do it. And when I tell you I sacrificed, on the bus with drag. Imagine that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I would be in drag on the bus.
Yeah.
Not anymore. But
There you go.
I mean, like, drag has really turned like a full. I not that I never thought it would.
Yes.
I had a lot of plans that actually happened.
Okay.
But yeah. So long story short, when I think about the things that I go through, I put that in my music.
Oh,
when I think about stuff that like I'm feeling, I put it in my music.
I like
and if there's a song that I really, really like, I put it in my music. And people will be like, oh, you should do this song. And like, I always like, oh, okay, cool. But I have to have something that feels like a storyline, something that feels like we're going through something, or when you hear it, you resonate with it. Like I want to connect with, I know the word so well, your dopamine, or whatever the thing that when you rub dogs, when you see dogs, you get the,
the dopamine.
I want you to have like I'm very logical with everything that I do. Yeah. Nothing, and like when you write like in English, they tell you about like ethos and like things of that nature, and how you can write this sentence to connect with that. Yes, like they're teaching you psychological stuff. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it's not saying that you play games on things. It's like if you want to convey a message, you can use this to convey that message. Yeah. Like some people don't understand that. Like I want people to have a good time when we're at our shows. Yes. So like I'm always asking you, hey, how you doing?
I know,
you know, like you having a good time today? And it's not like just me on a microphone and you be like, oh, she's a diva.
It's
she's
personable. You make it more personable. Yeah, it's like,
I know that people only have a good time when we're having a good time together.
And you're like a celebrity, so people want to.
Well, see, people like, say that, and like I never think of myself that way. I don't. So
it's like a celebrity saying, "Are you okay?"
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, wow, that makes you feel good.
Yeah, and then it even makes it even more shocking, because when you go somewhere like a roller coaster, you don't want to get on the biggest drop. But when you do get on the biggest drop, when you get at the bottom, you're like, oh, you're laughing with your friends because you're like, yeah, girl, that was fun. Like, I was scared as hell, but I still did it, and we all have something we can laugh at together. So when I point out at a person, I go, hey, you, like, you know, I know you're going to give me a $10 bill tonight.
Yeah,
I wasn't giving her $10. Like, what is she talking about? Like, it makes, and then everybody's like, oh, she's talking about you. Like, it's fun. Like, you have to know how to connect without just using one way of doing it. That's like, true. You know, you have to think, like, people think, people speak, people feel. Like, how do you connect with that? That's so when I put my productions together, that's what I'm thinking about. How are you going to go on this trip? If I talk about my boyfriend, and I make it very clear I'm talking about boyfriends, did you go through a boyfriend relationship this week? And now I'm performing, I'm just making you're just you're on it now, we're on it, because what drag queens are is we're supposed to play on the current events and the emotions in which we're all feeling. Okay. We're supposed to be able to resonate with how you feel. Like, you know what I'm saying? In order for me to connect with you, I have to connect with myself. Yeah. So that I can be able to better connect with you. So that's what I use.
I like that, because that's a very human connection. Yeah. When you get the human connection is when communication happens. Like I always feel like if you got too many things to say in a text message, just call.
Yeah,
I'd rather you just call. If you got all this stuff to say, I'm not gonna keep going back and forth, back and forth.
And people that
I'm
put-
guilty of that.
Oh, see, like, I was about to say something. See, here we go with her. Shut the fuck up. But it's like, dude, I'm guilty of that too. I'm like, I feel like I don't know. Like when people like put all that in, I'm like, girl, why don't you just
That's
call
what
me?
I am
that's
like.
I'm not a
Yes.
big book reader kind of person already.
Yeah,
so like, it
He
doesn't
said,
connect the
oops.
same. Like, and people
It doesn't.
You have to understand. Like, there's some people that are very like they're versatile. Like
Yeah,
versa.
yeah.
And there's some people that are very like literal. Like you know, like they are like that.
I just think it's more of a human connection when you can talk on the phone instead of texting every 5 seconds. I mean,
think so,
a
it
couple
is.
things like I'm here or I'll be up the street, little stuff. But when you got this long like conversation, then I actually knew somebody who was like that, and I stopped even really dealing with her because every time you turn around, it's like hella conversation and text. Then you go to call her because you're like, look, this is too much.
And then
she
you
won't
get mad when you
answer.
ask her.
No,
Oh,
she
yeah,
won't
I see
answer.
what
And you're
I'm saying.
texting like a mad woman, but then when I call you right as soon as I'm like, okay, look, this is crazy. You don't text. I mean, you don't answer. But then you turn around and text. Oh, my throat is sore or something crazy.
Because some people feel like it's easier to just go.
It is easier.
I'm like
For them it's easier, and she has like a speech impediment type of thing.
Oh, well, then
so
I
I think
agree.
that causes her to feel a little some kind of way too. You know what I mean?
I mean, I feel like if you can be able, some people are quicker. I'm like the kind of person like this. I don't want to necessarily have to talk about everything. Everything is not an easy conversation.
Right.
But I would prefer to verbally talk about it because I know when I hang up the phone, when I walk away from the conversation, you not only got how I felt because you felt it.
Yes,
you
the
heard
tone.
it.
I
Everything
agree.
was clear. Everything was right. So I don't have to go over anything.
Misunderstandings. I know what you mean.
If I text you the wrong thing.
Yes, in bold letters. Then what?
And if you text me a whole bunch of stuff, then I don't read it, and we get on the phone, and you're like, so yeah, about that thing I text you, I'm like, I didn't read none of that.
Nothing. Yep.
Like I didn't read any of that. I was hoping that you would just go over it again.
And yes. Or don't you hate when people like leave a long voicemail and say, "Did you hear the voicemail?" I'm like, no, I just called you right back.
Well, no, I will do
listen to the
voicemails. I think that's kind of cute. I am like cutesy like that.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will like. I'll listen to a voicemail. I'm like,
okay.
I'll leave a quirky voicemail. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. And like I think stuff like that, messages are like some things are timeless.
But I'm just saying that whole texting thing is not for me.
Yeah, I can't.
Like I said, that full on conversation in a text.
Oh yeah, the
like,
Rockettes hate me. The Rockettes hate me. I remember one day they were like, I guess they had a whole conversation about what they were going to wear for the opening.
Okay.
I show up to the opening and I have like gray or like white or something. I'm like, yeah, I'm putting out in it. And they go,
no.
Everyone has their all black for the opening, and I'm like,
oh wow.
I did not get that memo. And they were like, we put it in the group. And I'm like, well, first off, I don't know who you guys are or what kind of elephant, but every group message on my phone is on mute, okay? And
because they already know that you're not that way.
if y'all had a conversation already, I'm not coming into that conversation mid-conversation.
Right.
To like have that conversation with like, I'm sorry, like I didn't, if it was something important, you put it in bold letters maybe. I don't know. And it's pretty bad because I just feel like maybe, sometimes I'm like, maybe I should just read everything. But then sometimes I just like, now I'm just like, let me just skim through everything. If I see anything that looks like black, gray,
I know,
orange,
right?
pink,
Just
like, making sure you pick that part out and read that.
Right, there you go. That's a good indicator. I love that.
Like just go through it.
I love that. So on another topic, really quick, this same topic, but what do you guys think about that Tennessee thing with them banning drag in Tennessee? How do you guys feel about that? I mean, I really don't know the details. I keep getting misinformation about it. 1 minute it's because of this reason, because they're letting kids come in their shows, and the next minute it's because they're doing other stuff that's not appropriate. But a drag show is a drag show, and it's for adults.
I'll be honest with you. I feel like, truthfully, and I don't want to speak vaguely because I could be extremely just loosely when I speak. So let me not
speak your mind. Speak your mind.
That Black Girl Magic did it. So no, not really. Like I could go for another glass, but it was kind of like I feel like they're like for Trump, he utilized black. He used race. That was his narrative.
Yeah.
That was his way into office.
Right.
And it didn't really matter whether white people were treated better or black people got treated better. Asian people got treated better, whether worse people. He didn't give a damn because guess who his biggest the president he cheerleads for the most? Putin. not even American, nothing with America. He ain't never even been to America.
Right.
And then he wanted that. I don't know if Putin want to blow up every last person in America, which I'm sure he doesn't really want to. I think I can only be human and think like he only wants to because he doesn't like the leaders of our country. I'm sure he sees that a lot of us don't want these things to happen.
Right.
Like other leaders see that they don't want to happen.
Right.
But America is, we can go down that line about all that and how they are the formation of the edge.
Yes, yeah.
So with that being said, I do believe like Trump, he chose race, and that was his campaign, that was his propaganda, that was his noise, that was his call to attention, that was his way to wake everybody up because there was so much unsettledness in race. A white person couldn't say nothing about a black person publicly because that's just no, you can't say that.
Right.
And an Asian person couldn't say nothing about a Latino person in public. Oh no, you can't say that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? In that time before Trump, there were things that were very sensitive that you could not say. You could not even walk inside of a space and say something like, "Oh, he's black."
Right.
That is racist. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
At that time, that wasn't. Now he went and he said. Like, he went and walked in the room, and you seen white chicks when the grad goes to the restaurant?
Yes.
He's like, move, bitch, move. He literally did that. He literally walked inside and said, I don't give a fuck what y'all think.
Yeah.
I need y'all to realize that I want y'all to see Donald Trump is trying to be the president.
I never thought about it that way.
Never thought about it.
That's a very interesting perspective.
He was just like, I just want to be the president, and the only way that you're going to see that I'm more president than everybody else is if you think I'm going to cause a problem to your society. Because what really matters is that whoever's thinking like me will vote for me. But guess what? All the people who already were going to vote for me before, those people who was really going to vote for me, who I'm using this antagonistic propaganda to promote for me, they're going to vote for me now on top of the people who were in the delegations. They just wanted me to be more of a candidate that I could be able to create the noise and create because what are we about now in this time? Social media. What can you do to get the masses of the new millennials into what you're doing? Trump got our attention.
Yes.
He got our, I'm a millennial, I would assume. And I mean, before Trump, we didn't pay attention to politics as strongly.
That's right.
But my mother's did, and my mother is what would be like a millennial to that millennial of my grandmother, which I was able to see. You know what I'm saying? Like so it's like she's now in a place of where my grandmother would be considered, and now I'm in a place of where my mom.
It's so funny because my dad always says everybody moves up a slide.
Yeah, you move up a slide at a time, and when that happened, it opened our eyes to politics because those were the votes that nobody was getting.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where they did it. And whether it was a team effort, because I believe politics are nowhere different and the same. Because if it came between one thing that they all had to agree with, Republicans and Democrats would agree with it because guess what? They don't know us.
Right.
So if we all just blew up into smithereens, it wouldn't matter. Because guess what? Hillary Clinton is here and the Clintons are here and I'm a Biden and those are my friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
the Trumps are here and those are my friends. You know what I'm saying? The Putins are here because those are my friends. They don't know us, Johnsons or Lattels or Phils. They don't know us.
No.
So it doesn't matter. Like the same thing with like an ant. You don't know where that ant came from. You don't know where that fly came from. But he in my motherfucking space and he gotta go. You know what I'm saying? So you get rid of him. You know what I'm saying? And that's just that. You never think about his family. You never think about where he came from.
That's so true.
And we all say, oh, ants are super huge colonies and like their family and they have a queen. And how much social do you think? You don't think they miss one of the ants when they live?
Yes, right.
You don't think when they reproduce, they're reproducing because they're missing so many people that they just don't know how to be able. They can't go retrieve those. You know what I'm saying? So in our same retrospect, those people don't really care. They're doing something to cause attention, and whoever calls the most attention gets the win because that person has more authority. That person has more call to action. That person can get people to do stuff. So what's happening in Tennessee is another call to action. Yeah. The more that the homosexual culture or the gay culture decides to place attention at, oh my God, they're trying to get us. They're trying to go us. Bitch, if you sit down and if you pay attention, to what's going on and just look at it right now, it's so preliminary.
Okay.
Everything that's happening can be stopped. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's nobody that's officially going to be the front runners on the ballot as a president. You want to know why? Because we still have different elections to go through to get certain people out. We still have different elections to go. They want us to believe that what's happening in Tennessee can happen everywhere. Because guess what? You have no power. But Tennessee is already
right.
a space that's not even a blue. It's not even a blue state. You know what I'm saying? It's not a state that's a Republican. It's a Republican state. Am I correct? Like
Tennessee is a. I think it is a red state. I think it is.
Is it a Republican or Democrat state?
Republican.
It's a Republican state. It's a red state.
Red, yeah.
So it's already a space where we're not welcome.
Yeah.
Like we're not welcome with a whole bunch of Republicans.
That's so true,
you know
though.
What I'm saying?
That is so true.
When you're out in those back southern states, you're already getting, we're not really accepted 100%. And I can hear that from stories without you saying something about Tennessee already. So is it really that big of a surprise that they're really pushing this?
Yeah.
Because you don't have enough supporters to even get a Democrat on the ballot, like to get forward to make for sure things like this don't 100% pass.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why they're doing what they're doing. And yeah, they could try to do certain little things here in California, but we have the masses to be able to make it happen.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't happen.
We have
here.
the masses in different states to make it happen. But what they are doing, but that we may not be able to focus on, is what they are doing is adhering us early on to be able to gather together and say, we're going to not allow you to do that. You're not going to get me in an uproar, baby. I'm still going to live my life because guess what? You won't be on the final ballot. We all going to get together right now while you still can't get in and we don't do it. But guess what? We think we get defeated instantly when you say, Tennessee banned drag. Oh, they're going to ban it everywhere. We just can't do nothing. They don't care about me. And the next thing you know, you got millennials not voting. You know, millennials feeling like, it doesn't matter anyways, and
because my voice is not going to be heard.
My voice isn't heard. It doesn't matter. They're already going to go do it. Like, you might as well let them do it. It's in the Bible. Might as well let them do it. And it is in the Bible, and I believe in the Bible too. It is not that right there. We're in Tennessee. That's not the Bible. Exactly. Right. But there's things that are in the Bible that says that corruption will come. In the final last days. Yeah. So it's just the principle about like, and a lot of gay people feel like, so that's how I feel.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
And my biggest thing, if I could end that, even with Tennessee, being that it's about like religion and everything, is remind like the gay culture is that you are not less of a soldier to God because you are walking in your path. You are closer to God than the person that is trying to put you down for not being in the church of God.
I so agree.
Because you are fighting what God said is the truth, the true warrior, the true soldier. You're fighting a true fight amongst other people that don't agree with what you are doing right now. God never said he did not dislike everybody.
That's right.
What he did love is people that believe in what they believe in and believe in him. And he will be there with you along the fight. He will fight with you. And as long as you're willing to fight, he's going to fight with you.
I'm with you.
And that is a person that's a child of God.
That's right.
So you are more, and I believe that as a gay man, I am closer to God than I am as a heterosexual man. And that's, whatever fights you want to go through, whatever fights you want to go through. But as a I was raised in church too. That's a Pharoahic decree that was blessed on your life that the devil put on you so that you could be able to be distant away from God. That does not mean that you have to get over your homosexuality.
That's right.
You see how people are attacking us?
Yes.
You see how people are coming at us right now? We are the true soldiers because God will put us on his team because guess what? We fought for what we believe in. Like, you know what I'm saying? And our hearts are real. I don't have a bad heart.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you.
You don't have a bad heart. Like, we don't have bad hearts. And that's why people love homosexual individuals because we're loving people. And we honest. We'll be sassy. We'll be fierce. You might get a little cutthroat out of us, but be prepared.
That's human nature. Like,
you step into our reality.
That's what I was going to say. That's
we step in there with you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that we all are very loving, fun people. We care about if we had to work one day out of the week and that was enough to pay our rent all month, bitch, we would be out every night enjoying
I know,
stuff.
right?
And everybody would want to be with what? A homosexual individual. Because guess what? We're enjoying life like God told us to.
There you go.
Enjoy life. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You may feel like, this part of the Bible doesn't say this and this contradicts this and this. And, a lot of shit contradicts a lot of shit.
It's true.
And a lot of people that's doing what the Bible says contradicting what the Bible says. At the end of the day, everybody is on this earth imperfectly. And ain't nobody on here better than me. Because guess what? There's only one person that can judge me. And that's it. That's very like people say it all the time, but that's the truth.
That's right. That's right.
I don't want to go too far.
And I like that.
But it's just the truth that what they are doing, don't put yourself in a dark space and believe that you cannot. You can. Yeah. Because I remember when I was in school, it was hard. I was by myself. Yeah. And now I'm seeing so many more of us. Yes. If I did not do what I did when I was in school, I don't think any of these kids would be able to be around and be in elementary saying like, I'm gay.
I know.
Y'all wouldn't be trans children if we wasn't in school saying like, I probably would have been trans already.
Did you always know that you felt some kind of way?
Oh, hell yeah.
So that's why I said you're born like that. that.
Yeah, like
I
I remember
so
when the
agree
boys
with that.
stopped hanging out with me because I was like, I'm into boys now.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
okay.
In
Okay.
kindergarten. Like,
Yeah. So when people say it's a choice, I don't think it's a choice. It's something you're naturally born with.
God said you are down here. You are given the right to the choice to believe right and wrong. So when you are placed down here, you are placed with whatever down here is.
I believe it. I
Whatever's
believe it.
going on
I
down
believe
here.
it.
And ain't shit right about nothing that we live
That's
with.
right.
Nothing.
That's right. That's
nothing
right.
that we do. Nothing is happening.
That's
nothing
right.
is right. So anybody that believes that anything on this earth is correct, you are a fucking fool. Like you're a fool to believe that anybody on this earth can be placed above you, even the most political leaders in the world.
That's right. That's right. I'm with you on that.
Sorry,
I'm
I'll
with
stop.
you on that. No, we love it. Open, honest floor here.
I'm not
Everything
sure that
is
he
open
told
and
us
honest.
how he really feels, though.
I know, right?
Is that what we go back to? I'm sorry. So that's how I feel about it. I feel like, it's just a call to attention. A lot of people are trying to bring attention to a situation.
Yeah.
And what I feel is that what our culture needs to really mostly do is focus on how we can pay attention to gathering and grouping together to be stronger.
I agree with that. I loved everything you said. I think it's honest, it's true. And it needs to be like people need to look at that kind of stuff. Genuinely look at that stuff.
That's an everybody thing. If you pay attention to every race, it's always if we work together, then it's better. And I think that's just what the
that's the whole kind of agenda is to divide. Divide everybody in different little sections. So because if everybody came together, the politicians and all the other people that got these other agendas, where would they be without us being divided? If we got divided and everybody came together and had this huge, big, calling to be as one, then we wouldn't have certain things like digital currency that's about to happen because everybody would be against it. We wouldn't have people getting banned, in drag in certain states because everybody would be banned together. So they don't want that. So the divide is always going to be there because that's the agenda.
And even if
that's
there's a band together, it doesn't matter what we do. It's never like a win. It's never a win while we're in this realm. It's always a loss. Yes. Because they have you band together, they're going, okay, we're the terrorists.
They'll find something to make it like just for instance, I'm just going to use when Ebola, they had us go against the Africans. Then when it was COVID, we went against the Chinese. Do you know what I mean? It's like always going to be something. Then it was Black Lives Matter. Even though that was a good thing, it turned into something else. It turned into they were violent, they were this, they were that. Even though that was not even nowhere near.
They still, and I just hate. This is why I always try to because I believe in so many. Not I believe in so many things. I believe that some things are very true. We believe that just pay attention to how the government has been over time.
Yes.
They created ghettos to be as a project for themselves. That's so sinister. Just to be able to see what these people will do.
So true.
They allow the likes of Martin Luther King's and Malcolm X's to come up so that they can see what is this community going to do if they have a strong leader. And then guess what? They killed them, and then years later put in writing that they actually killed them, and then just said don't let them see that 100%.
Isn't it awful?
They're doing this stuff intentionally. They're doing this stuff on purpose. If you think that anything that you're doing is not being done purposely, it's done intentionally.
Yeah.
It's just I feel like even sometimes when we get Super Bowl performances, that's a distraction of what they're doing outside.
I agree. How do you feel? You feel the same way? You feel like that some of the stuff we're saying is...
It's very interesting to hear these points of views because what I feel has not been happening is that people don't listen to each other. People automatically assume that just because something is happening, just because your sexual orientation is a certain way, just because your political affiliation is a certain way, that they automatically hate you. Right?
Oh, okay.
And I think that you need to be heard like this. And these things need to be said because a lot of people think so differently when they categorize you in something. And that's how we're brought up.
Right.
To automatically categorize people because of what they believe, because of how they feel about other people, or because of which politician they like to go for. One thing that I've seen, and this is on all sides of the equation, not everybody is fully to the left, fully to the right. Most of the people are pretty much in the middle because there's something from everywhere that fits your agenda.
Right.
And I think that's getting lost now. So I think people need to hear how other people perceive things.
Yeah, and I love your perspective.
It's a very good perspective. I'll admit I never thought of it that way. And you put things in perspective, and I'm glad that you did that. Because I think, like I said, other people need to hear this.
It's very true. Very true. Well, we're going to wrap this up, and I loved our conversation. We've actually had a great, I think, hour or so.
Yes.
Or
Yeah, it's been like an hour. We've been on forever. Huh?
Yeah, but it was awesome. I mean, our listeners got a earful, and
Yeah.
I think it was really, really powerful stuff we just said, and it opened up people's
we
eyes
touched
and ears.
Everything.
Yes, yes, on all of
So
that.
my question is, are you guys gonna have me back to this again?
Of course we will. Of course we will.
And potentially
And you can
on
have
some
another glass of
lives.
wine for your efforts
Yes.
there.
Yeah. That was for the okay.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
we
you.
so appreciate you.
Yes.
You've been so insightful. We love it. We definitely love your performances. And tell the people where they can find you on Sundays.
You can find me at Rocco's for Rocco's Rockets, where I host myself with all of my beautiful, amazing sisters, the Rockets. We have our show at 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. every single Sunday. You can reserve yourself a ticket at roccosreservations.com, and we will be there to be there for you.
Awesome. And you guys have got to check it out because they have an amazing performance lineup, and you just got to check it out. Got to check it out. So thanks, Philip, for joining us. You have any last words you want to say before we end our show for tonight?
Well, I just want to say that I'm so glad that you were the first guest in this series.
Oh,
of
thank
Tell
you
It
so
Like
much
It
for
Is,
having me.
because it is going to set the tone and set the bar very high for whoever the next guest is.
I so agree with you.
I'll be back. No, joking.
I agree with you 100%. Well, thank you all for listening, and join us again next week with Tell It Like It Is.
Ow.